a real impact. I mean, bedtime stories are things that, children probably don't get so much nowadays, but it was very important in my day.
A royal trap was meticulously set to plunge the young Princess Charlotte into the worst chaos of her life. Every detail from her dress to her speech had been carefully planned to give her a memory she'd never forget. But standing between danger and the young princess was none other than Princess Anne, the backbone of the monarchy. With her decades of experience, she outsmarted the perpetrator. Did Anne detect the plot in time? And could she protect Charlotte from a danger so close to home? Join us as we unveil how Princess Anne saved Princess Charlotte from Queen Camilla's horrible trap. Princess Charlotte, the pride of Wales. Her Royal Highness, Princess Charlotte of Wales, the daughter of William, Prince of Wales, and Catherine, Princess of Wales, a big deal in the British monarchy. She is third in line for the British throne, after her father and her older brother Prince George of Wales. The little girl made history after being alive for only a couple of hours when she became the first royal baby whose arrival was announced on Twitter. Her Royal Highness, the Duchess of Cambridge, was safely delivered of a daughter at 8:34 a.m. The Duke of Cambridge was present for the birth, Kensington Palace posted on their official account in May 2015. The only daughter to the heir apparent has grown up before the eyes of the public, from the day she was born to her first day at school and everything in between. The royal recently turned 10, so it's a really big deal, since she just marked her first decade. The first public appearance of Princess Charlotte was, of course, on the day of her birth with her parents on the steps outside the hospital. They soon left to go stay at their residence at London's Kensington Palace. Before long, the infant princess received visits from other members of the royal family, including her grandfather, Prince Charles, and her great-grandmother, the then reigning Queen Elizabeth II. She made another public appearance on July 5, 2015, when she was christened in the church at St. Mary Magdalene in Sandringham, Norfolk, the church where her late grandmother Diana was also christened. The princess wore a royal christening robe, a replica of a gown made for Queen Victoria's eldest daughter, Victoria, 1841, and arrived in a pram pushed by her mother, with her father and big brother walking next to her. At 10 months old, Princess Charlotte enjoyed her first trip abroad with her parents and brother George. The royals visited the French Alps for a long weekend. A Kensington Palace spokesperson said, "This was their first holiday as a family of 4 and the first time either of the children had played in the snow. All the princess's appearances have been impeccable, and now that she's 10 years old, she has yet another appearance to make." It was supposed to be even more perfect than her previous public appearances. The palace had chosen her to represent the royal family at a special children's charity event in London. It was meant to be a calm way to introduce her into royal duties, a chance for the young princess to show her natural warmth and charm to the world. The event was rather simple, at least it seemed so, just a small gathering of children, some flowers to present, and a few kind words to say to those present. What could possibly go wrong? Well, a lot. The sinister plot that shook Anne. For weeks, Princess Anne, the backbone of the royal family, has been watching the preparations for weeks, and something just didn't seem right. When the Princess Royal says something like that, it's worth investigating. But she didn't say anything at first. She simply observed. She noticed some tiny details at first, staff acting nervous around her, and whisperings that stopped when she entered into the room. And for some reason, changes were made to the schedule of the event, and somehow no one could properly explain why. Princess Anne is no stranger to royal events. She has spent decades as a princess to know the difference between normal pre-event nervousness and when something is just plainly wrong. And this one, it was just wrong, and she knew it. But she couldn't act immediately even though the signs were all there. She needed proof, and when needed it fast. She launched her investigation when she overheard 2 members of the palace staff discussing Charlotte's appearance. One of them mentioned how they had to make sure the princess didn't forget that day. That sounded weird. At first, Anne thought they meant it in a positive light, like giving the princess a good, memorable day. But as she listened closely, how shocked she was to realize that there was not even a shred of positivity in the conversation. At this point, there was no doubt that some elaborate plans were going on behind the scenes, and somehow it concerned the innocent Princess Charlotte. Anne decided it was time to dig deeper into the event planning, and thus, the real investigation. She started asking innocent questions and checking details that most people wouldn't even think twice about. But as the Princess Royal, she was determined to find things out, and she did. But what she found made her blood run cold. The whole event wasn't what it seemed. Instead of a platform to boost Charlotte, it was a carefully planned attack on a child's confidence and future. Apparently, someone had spent months setting up what looked like a normal royal engagement, but in reality, it was actually designed to humiliate Princess Charlotte in front of the entire world. The setup was so detailed and so cruel that it was hard for Anne to believe what she was seeing. Every single aspect of the event had been changed from the original plan. It had now been designed to create maximum embarrassment for Charlotte. Starting with the very dress made for her, it had been secretly altered to be too long, making it almost certain she would trip while walking up the steps, and the flowers she was supposed to present were arranged in heavy, awkward bouquets that would be difficult for her small hands to manage. The perpetrator went as far as adjusting the microphone to a setting that would make her young voice sound weak and uncertain. But even with all that, the most shocking discovery was yet to come, and it would move Anne to tears. The real agenda and Anne's actions. Anne found the real agenda hidden in the files belonging to the event coordinator. Charlotte was supposed to give a speech to those who'd be present at the event, but the words in the speech had been changed without anyone in the royal family noticing. The new speech was filled with words so difficult that no 10-year-old should be expected to pronounce. If Charlotte stumbled on these words, she'd definitely be stuck, and the photographers would capture every moment of her embarrassment, which would be out in the full view of the world. Speaking of photographers, that's yet another problem, probably the cruelest ploy. They had received specific instructions on the angles to capture the princess, from what moment to focus more on, and how to make the young princess look as small and overwhelmed as possible. And what was the goal? To create lasting images that would follow and hunt her for the rest of life. Pictures that would raise questions in people's mind about whether the princess was even ready for royal duties, whether she was strong enough to handle the pressure that comes with duties, and whether the royal family was making a blind mistake by putting her out there. The internet never forgets. Once something is up there, it remains there, and this breaks Anne's heart. When Anne realized the seriousness of the situation, the first thing Anne did was to call an emergency meeting with the event coordinators. But she didn't outrightly reveal that she suspected anything. Instead, she acted like she was just doing a routine check of the arrangements, and the staff suspected nothing in return. However, her trained eye caught every single detail that had been changed. It's not for nothing that she's called the most hard-working royal, after all. She saw through every trap that had been set with masterful accuracy. The coordinators did their best to explain away the changes as mere improvements or updates, but even though Anne said nothing in contradiction, she could see right through their lies. Anne proceeded to dig deeper into who was behind the plot, and that was when she discovered something that shocked her even more than the plan itself. This plan, this cruel sabotage, was coming directly from inside the royal household. People who had sworn loyalty to the family, who had been trusted with the most intimate details of their lives, were the ones planning to destroy a child's confidence. Anne found evidence that suggested the plot had approval from someone much higher up the royal hierarchy. Someone who should have been protecting Charlotte was actually the one ordering her downfall. The evidence pointed to a conspiracy that reached into the very heart of the royal family, involving people Anne had known and trusted for years. Anne had to find a way to stop the plot without revealing how much she knew, while also protecting Charlotte from future attacks. She had always been the royal family's protector, the one who handled crises quietly and efficiently. But this time, the stakes were higher than ever before. Would the perpetrators succeed? The day of the event. The event was only hours away, and Anne needed to correct the altered schedule. They spent the night at the venue together with hand-picked members of the crew. She knew she couldn't stop the event entirely without raising suspicions, but she could make sure Charlotte was protected from the worst of the traps that had been set. First, she dealt with Charlotte's dress. Anne had a trusted seamstress come to the palace in secret to fix the alterations that had been made. The dress was returned to its proper length, and extra safety measures were added to make sure Charlotte could walk confidently without any risk of tripping. Anne also arranged for Charlotte to have a private dress rehearsal, giving her a chance to practice walking in the outfit and building her confidence. Anne also tackled the speech problem. She couldn't change the words without alerting the conspirators, but she could make sure Charlotte was prepared for what was coming. Anne spent hours with Charlotte, helping her practice the difficult words and giving her tricks for handling any parts she might struggle with. Anne knew she had to deal with the photographers and the media coverage directly. She arranged for friendly photographers to be in key positions, making sure that even if Charlotte struggled, the images captured would be kind and supportive rather than cruel and embarrassing. The microphone situation required the most delicate handling, and she couldn't simply change the settings without the sound technicians noticing. So, she arranged for a backup system to be in place. If Charlotte's voice was being deliberately undermined, Anne's team would be ready to fix the problem instantly. On the day of the event, as Anne arrived with Charlotte to the venue, she was thunderstruck when she found that some changes had been made again. The stage lights were set in such a way that Charlotte would have to deal with keeping her eyes open while making her presentation, but she handled it rather gracefully. Anne felt a surge of pride watching her great niece show such natural poise under pressure. The young princess had inherited the family's ability to adapt and overcome even when she didn't realize she was being tested. Her own cameramen, when rightly positioned, and captured the princess at the right angles. But there was still the problem of big words. It was sunshine for Anne, and thunderstorm for the conspirators, as they all watched Charlotte whiz through the speech like she was saying, "Good morning." While the perpetrators were trying to understand how, Anne was all smiles. The flower presentation was a walk in the park, thanks to Anne's behind-the-scenes work. So the carefully designed trap meant to shatter the confidence of a 10-year-old child became ineffective because of the efforts of the Princess Royal. The conspirators' plan fell apart before their eyes. Instead of creating embarrassing moments, they were inadvertently showcasing Charlotte's natural talent and resilience, and Anne could see the frustration on their faces as their carefully laid trap failed to catch its intended victim. Anne arranged to meet with the key conspirators privately. She didn't want to create a scene or generate publicity, but she needed to make sure they understood the consequences of their actions. When faced with undeniable evidence, the conspirators finally admitted their plan. Anne had enough. She arranged for the conspirators to be quietly removed from positions where they could harm the royal family. They were transferred to other roles far from any involvement in royal events or access to sensitive information. That still leaves the question of who was behind the plot. Without fail, many fingers point to the same person, Camilla, and perhaps they have good reasons. What is the relationship between Camilla and Wales like? Camilla's secret feud with the Wales family. Even though Camilla has been Charles's wife for many years, they only became queen and king after the recent passing of Elizabeth II, and next up after them are William and Kate. But there's a sort of tension between these royal generations. Does Camilla have a beef with Kate? Why? It can't be called a beef per se, but the tension is palpable even with the neutral closeness with which they relate. One day, King Charles's crown will pass on to Prince William's. That day could be soon, or several years away. But with the recent happenings at Buckingham Palace, it's probably more likely to be soon. And so William and Kate must prepare, just as Charles and Camilla spent many, many decades doing. An inside source is opening up about how Camilla has stepped up into the role of queen, a role that she is not eager to relinquish. Apparently, she loves her responsibilities. A source dished that her whole life she has always wanted to be queen, and maybe now that she has what she has always wanted, Camilla doesn't want to let it go so fast. According to the report, Camilla feels particularly hesitant to pass on her duties to Kate. Obviously, the princess, who is married to the eldest prince, will almost inevitably become queen and inherit Camilla's crown. And that would be the end of the road for the queen's consort. So it won't be completely out of place if she really is hesitant about it. According to some inside sources, Camilla and Kate have always had a tense relationship, but that tension is not limited to her relationship with Kate. Even the Prince of Wales reportedly found her repellent, and she found him the same. A former royal photographer is spilling on what's going on behind the scenes with the royals, and he's alleged that Queen Camilla is not here for Prince William's antics. Ian Pelham Turner tells a reporter in an interview that he believes Queen Camilla is seeing William trying to create issues, and she's told Charles to stop it. He added his thoughts that rumor has been going on for a while, that William has been trying to push things in the monarchy, and that at the moment, that he's the driving force behind the throne, something King Charles is supposed to be. Prince William and his stepmom have a historically strained relationship, and in 2024, royal expert Christopher Anderson said in an interview that William merely tolerates Camilla, who has always been a little afraid of him. The author also said that Camilla needed a gin and tonic after her first time meeting William. That sounds rough, but a family friend has also revealed that William has warmed up to Camilla over time, and they have a familial relationship these days. That hasn't been confirmed. It's not like either William or Camilla would come out to confirm it anyway. William and his brother Harry had always distrusted Camilla and felt resentment toward her because of their devotion to their mother. They never felt comfortable opening up to her in any real way. William and Harry's distrust only grew to new heights when they found out Camilla was leaking stories to the press to make herself look better. With a relationship with, it seems plausible that people would point fingers to Camilla in the conspiracy to destroy young Charlotte's confidence. But while Camilla is viewed in a not-so-pleasant light, the story is different with Anne. Just how impressive is Princess Anne's profile? Princess Anne, the Princess Royal. Princess Anne recently marked her 75th birthday. She has continued to live up to her nickname of hardest-working royal. Anyone would agree that the name fits perfectly. Since the death of Queen Elizabeth II and accession of Charles III, much has changed for the royal family in the 3 years, but the Princess Royal shows no signs of winding down. Known as the backbone of the royal family, Anne's work ethic can't be denied. As proof of her hard work, she carried out 474 engagements last year alone. Princess Anne has often let some more of her personality shine through in her work, compared to her more stoic and tight-lipped mother. In the line of succession to the throne, she stands as number 16th. But that's not a bother. The princess excels as a brilliant networker who is unafraid to make her feelings public. In 2019, she trended worldwide on Twitter after she appeared to bicker with the Queen over greeting President Donald Trump. Anne has so many achievements that would leave rivals gasping. She boasts a Nobel Peace Prize nomination and has a stint in the Olympics, not to mention how she even batted off a kidnapping attempt. Her official title of Princess Royal is a title usually given by a monarch to their eldest daughter, and Anne also happened to be the only daughter of Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip. The title remains unchanged, even if the holder outlives the monarch who gave them the title, as was the case with Anne. The Princess Royal's first engagement was the opening of an educational and training center in Shropshire in 1969, when she was only aged 18. Currently, she is involved with more than 300 charities, organizations, and military regiments based in the UK and abroad. One of her most notable roles has been President of Save the Children UK, a role she has held for 55 years. She is also President of the British Olympic Association, following from her interesting history with the Games. More on that later. And just in case you're wondering, yes, Princess Anne was a competitor in the 1976 Summer Olympics, which took place in Montreal, Canada. She took part in the equestrian 3-day event, riding the Queen's horse Goodwill. Though she did not win a medal, her daughter Zara Phillips won silver as a member of the British team in the same event at the 2012 London Olympics. As president of the British Olympic Association, the Princess Royal presented her with her medal. With all her impressive titles, Anne has chosen to mentor Charlotte. What could possibly be the reason? The next Princess Royal. In addition to her titles as president and patron of many charities and other good causes, Princess Anne holds a number of other decorations and honors. She is an admiral in the Royal Navy, a general in the British Army, and an Air Chief Marshal in the Royal Air Force. Princess Anne is also a recipient of the Royal Family Order of Charles III, a Royal Knight Companion of the Most Noble Order of the Garter, an Extra Knight of the Most Ancient and Most Noble Order of the Thistle, and a personal aide-de-camp to the Sovereign. With a profile as impressive as this, it is no surprise that Princess Anne has etched herself into the mind of the public and is loved by all. She has stood by her brother for years and has been his support even before he ascended the throne. And even after becoming king, Anne still supports Charles. She has also taken up training for the young Princess Charlotte. The training comes as Princess Charlotte could receive a rare title in the future. When her father, Prince William, becomes king one day, Charlotte may become the Princess Royal. This particular title has only been used by 7 women in history. It's a title traditionally carried by the monarch's oldest daughter and held for life. Right now, Princess Anne holds the title, so it makes sense that she has taught Charlotte proper protocol, as one day she may have her title. There can only be one living Princess Royal, so Charlotte can't have this title until Anne passes away. However, Prince William will determine whether Charlotte becomes the Princess Royal. Do you think Anne is enough to shield Charlotte from future threats? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the next video showing on your screen. You will enjoy it.